T plus 30 seconds, Starship 15 is airborne as we get a view of the 3 Raptor engines as we're powering our way to 10 kilometers altitude in today's test flight. Just past 1 minute into flight, we're through 2 kilometers altitude. All 3 Raptor engines continuing to burn. Next major event in about 1 minute is we will turn off the first of the 3 Raptor engines. Coming up at T plus 2 minutes, we appear to have frozen the view from the engine cameras. However, the Raptor engine's continuing to perform, and we've got shutdown on engine 3 on time. T plus 2 minutes 40 seconds. While we're trying to regain video from the vehicle, we continue to ascend. We have just passed the 8-kilometer point in flight. Everything continues to look good on Starship 15. Coming up on 3.5 minutes into flight, we're approaching the 10-kilometer altitude. We'll begin to hover here. We've had engine number 2 shut down on time. We'll now be moving into the hover with 1 engine. And then in a little bit, we will begin the flip over to horizontal position and begin our descent, where hopefully a ground camera will be able to bring us live views of the flight. Just past T plus 4 minutes into flight, we've got the views back from the Raptor engines. We get T plus 4 minutes 34 seconds. While we're working to regain video, it looks like we've got a shot looking back at the flaps on Starship. We're in the horizontal descent phase now. We're passing 6 kilometers. Now, a reminder, phase that's coming up as we get ready for landing, we will light 3 Raptor engines, flip the vehicle from horizontal to vertical. If things look good, we will shut down 1 Raptor engine and then possibly a second one and land on a single engine in the landing zone. 5 minutes into flight, Raptor continuing to descend. We're coming up on 3 kilometers altitude. have ignition. Starship heading back to the landing zone. And Starbase Flight Control has confirmed, as you can see on the live video, we are down. The Starship has landed. We're going through the safing sequence in the flight computer right now. We'll be back in a moment. Well, if you've just joined us, you missed a great flight. Right now we have successfully landed in the landing zone, right on the concrete. You can see we do have a small fire at the base of the vehicle, not unusual with the methane fuel that we're carrying as we continue to work on the test vehicle design. You may be able to see water going on the pad from the water cannons. But again, Starship 15 powered by 3 Raptor engines. We have successfully launched it from our facility in South Texas, landed after a routine flight where we shut engines down on the way to 10 kilometers, executed the horizontal unpowered descent, and then we got some great views of the engines lighting up as we came down for a landing at a nice slow velocity.
SpaceX has successfully launched and landed its Starship Serial Number 15 rocket, the only one of its prototypes to survive a high-altitude flight test. The Elon Musk-owned company launched SN15 around 6:24 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, following a day of delays and anticipation, from its testing facility in Boca Chica, Texas. SN15 ignited its 3 massive Raptor engines that released out streams of white smoke from the base before fire blew out to shoot the rocket into the air. The prototype climbed through the sky until it reached 6 miles, hovered for a moment and then performed the infamous sideways flip, dubbed a belly flop maneuver by Musk. Starship landing nominal, Musk tweeted moments after his pride and joy made a safe and successful landing on the pad. The successful landing brings the billionaire one step closer to fulfilling his dream of sending the humans to Mars. SpaceX is planning to send humans to Mars using a 2-stage spacecraft composed of Starship, the passenger-carrying section, and the Super Heavy rocket booster. However, the firm has some work to do to finish the construction of the $216 million Starship, previously known as BFR, at SpaceX's Texas development site. Musk aims to use Starship testing to finalize the final rockets to take humans to Mars. However, his company was yet to see one survive the first test flight on Earth. SN15 is the first Starship prototype that was not blown to pieces after a high-altitude test, although a fire sparked at the base after it touched down. Not unusual with the methane fuel that we're carrying, SpaceX engineer and livestream announcer John Insprucker said, but the flames were extinguished a few minutes later. Musk has had his eye on the skies all week and had 2 previous scrubs, but luck appeared to be on his side. After hitting the 6-mile mark, the rocket hovered in place for a few seconds using just a single rocket and then performed a controlled aerodynamic descent. This mimics the technique Starship will use when returning through Earth's atmosphere from space, presenting the belly as it enters the atmosphere and reduces the speed of descent as it approaches the ground. SN15's Raptor engines reignited as the vehicle attempted a landing flip maneuver immediately before touching down on the landing pad adjacent to the launch mount. It shut down the Raptor engines and stood tall on the pad. Musk aims to use Starship testing to finalize the final rockets to take humans to Mars, and before SN15's perfect landing, things were looking a little grim for the billionaire. The previous test flight, on March 31, ended with SN11 in pieces on the launch pad. Fog had covered SN11 as it stood tall on the launch pad, only revealing itself when it ignited its 3 Raptor engines that sent streams of fire flowing out from the base. SN11 took off, soaring above the testing facility as it attempted to reach a goal of 6 miles into the sky. However, 2.5 minutes into its flight, SpaceX's livestream froze, leaving the ground team and world in the dark. Moments later, a loud boom was heard. The sky lit up around the launch pad and debris started falling from the sky. One bystander found a piece of the charred rocket about 5 miles outside. Innsbrucker said, "Starship 11 is not coming back, don't wait for the landing. We do appear to have lost all the data from the vehicle." Musk later revealed on Twitter that a relatively small methane leak led to its demise, which was what caused SN10 to explode weeks earlier. SN15 is the first launch since SN11. The reason the prototype skipped 12 through to 14 is due to SpaceX's rapid advances in design upgrades. SN12, SN13 and SN14 were scrapped due to being obsolete. SN10 was the first out of the 4 previous Starships to survive the landing, but the massive rocket exploded roughly 10 minutes after due to a methane leak. The failure occurred after SpaceX declared it a success, as SN10 flipped and landed without crashing and burning like the previous prototypes SN8 and SN9. Musk praised the rocket in a tweet for landing in one piece. "Third time's a charm, as the saying goes," Innsbrucker said during SpaceX's livestream on March 3. "We've had a successful soft touchdown on the landing pad that's capping a beautiful test flight of Starship 10. Some sources speculate the landing legs attached to the base did not deploy, which sent the rocket toppling over, and crushed pipes holding methane. The force of the explosion was enough to send the body of the large rocket, which was slightly tilted to one side after landing, into the air, causing it to flip and land on the ground on its side. An object that could be a methane tank was seen lying on the Boca Chica landing area after the fire and smoke from the massive explosion had cleared. However, SN10 was able to complete its mission of gathering data on controlling the rocket during re-entry, and many called the launch a success rather than another Starship failure. And both SN8 and SN9 exploded into a ball of flames the moment they touched down. SN9 was unable to maneuver into the vertical position before landing on the launch pad, hindering its ability to stick the landing. It landed with a deafening crash, and exploded into bright orange flames and a dust cloud, but the fire did not spread. SN8 took to the skies on December 10 last year, marking the first high-altitude attempt of a Starship prototype. The rocket hit all the marks, including shutting down its Raptor engines, reaching an altitude of 7.8 miles and performing the belly flop. The only thing it was unable to perfect was the landing, but Musk said previously that the rocket was unlikely to land safely. The moment the rocket touched down, it ignited in flames and left nothing behind but its nose cone. The Starship is constructed of stainless steel, which stands 160 feet tall, and is fitted with a nose cone and flaps at the side. Each rocket that has launched was tasked with collecting data throughout the flight to better improve the next. Click the link to read the related article and watch the related video coverage.
And Starbase Flight Control has confirmed, as you can see on the live video, we are down. The Starship has landed. We're going through the safing sequence in the flight computer right now. We'll be back in a moment. Well, if you've just joined us, you missed a great flight. Right now we have successfully landed in the landing zone, right on the concrete. You can see we do have a small fire at the base of the vehicle, not unusual with the methane fuel that we're carrying as we continue to work on the test vehicle design. You may be able to see water going on the pad from the water cannons. But again, Starship 15, powered by 3 Raptor engines, we have successfully launched it from our facility in South Texas, landed after a routine flight where we shut engines down on the way to 10 kilometers, executed the horizontal unpowered descent, and then we got some great views of the engines lighting up as we came down for a landing at a nice slow velocity.